I am very honored today to be able to introduce you to John Welsh and Chef Itze
Itse Behar.
Behar. Okay. I'm sorry. I just had a little trouble with that name. They own and run a restaurant together in San Diego, California. They consider Black Radish to be their creative playground. What a great way to look at your work. John created the space to reflect the beauty and persona of Itze, and because she wanted fresh bread served every day, he learned the art of sourdough baking. I've just recently tried that for myself. Chef Itze is the genius behind their four-course prefix menu with hand-selected wine pairings. Congratulations on the publishing of your article on Authority magazine and for the success of Black Radish. The launching of your business was dependent on winning a lottery. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Well, we had talked about having a restaurant and doing a restaurant, and we had looked at spaces and talked about concepts, but we never really moved past that kind of stage. And then in San Diego County, every year they have a liquor license lottery. And so we said, well, why don't we just enter it and see what happens? And I think Itse was a little
I was hesitant.
pessimistic about
I
that.
was a little pessimistic because so many hundreds of restaurants apply
Uh-huh.
and they only pick like 20 or 25.
Yeah.
So I was just like, but okay, we don't lose anything. So we tried it.
Uh-huh.
And then we actually went, which you don't have to go to the event, but where they pick them, and it is kind of like a lottery. They have a bunch of balls in a bin and they pick it out, and we're sitting in the audience, and they called her name and she stood up and screamed, "I won."
Woohoo!
So, but then we needed to have a restaurant because to use the liquor license, they have some timelines because they don't want people speculating on getting liquor licenses. So they say in 6 months you have to have a lease, and in so many months you have to be open. And so then that really put a fire under us to execute our dream.
Then you were really committed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise you give up the liquor license, and there's some value in that. And so it really wasn't a helpful impetus for us to move forward. Yeah.
And it was a big deal because right now, if you want a liquor license, you have to go through a broker, and they can go up to 125,000
or more.
More. So that put a burden to say we would like to have a full liquor license. So the difference is we only paid like 14,000.
Oh gosh, it's still a lot of money to invest on a big chance like that, isn't it?
But the other way would have been
it's a
very hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would have opened only with a wine license.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened here. There. Okay. So you were just a few days from launching your grand opening. What happened?
Yeah, we had set the opening date for March 19th, 2020, which was the first day of spring.
Yeah.
And we were pretty close. We may have been a few weeks after that, but and then I think it was March 16th.
16th, I think so.
That they closed down everything. Yeah, it was all closed down. So that was quite devastating for us.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, right?
Right.
Yes. And we got a really good deal with the lease for at least the first year or 2 years. We were paying like half rent or something like that, part of our deal. And we thought, oh, that's going to be great. We're going to get ahead. Well, that went all to the year and a half or over that we had to pay rent. By the time we opened, we were almost paying full rent again.
Yeah.
So that was kind of hard.
Yeah, it was a little, and of course, like everybody, when they first shut it down, we thought, oh, it'll be a couple weeks or and then that turned out to be a life-changing time. So yeah, that was, and we looked at things like opening just outside. We got some permits to do outside dining, but we opted in the end to wait until we could fully open and be the restaurant that we wanted to be, which I think was our best decision.
I think so too, because even if we wanted to open outside, that would mean investment to make it pretty outside. And the reality is that we were very tight. We opened really, really tight. So we didn't want to spend on that and then finish up, you know, whatever we needed inside. So we wanted to save that money and wait it out.
So 18 months out, in October of 2021, we opened.
Yeah, we started our soft openings and then opened fully.
You waited till you could do it right.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Good for you. So you, in the article, and I'm going to quote you here, you said, "We're grateful for the time it allowed us to look within and prioritize what was most important to us." So what did you decide was most important?
well, I think that extra time gave us some forced us, I guess, to take the time to look at not only like what we wanted to do with the menu, how we wanted to finish the space, and we did make some changes in that time in terms of how we architecturally we made some changes,
and in food wise too. Like all that time, he was practicing his bread. That's how he started. He practiced for a year in some. And we did our starter and he was trial and error. So we had that time. We also tried all the first cocktails that we wanted to put on the menu. We were writing down recipes. I refined the menu somewhat. I had a little more time. So we used that time to come together as a family, to understand that it was going to be a hard road ahead, and to made our menu and bread and everything the best that we can when we open.
So it may have worked in your favor in the long run, would you say?
I think so. There's
so,
some parts of it. I mean, we wish we hadn't have paid rent for 2 years extra. But other than that, I think, we were glad to have the time. And the liquor license, the ABC gave us extensions because of the pandemic, so we didn't have to open. And so yeah, I think other than the expense of rent, I think, it was valuable to us.
Yeah. And aside from a lot of people, I mean, obviously that was a very hard moment for a lot of humans.
Right.
We were in the house and we really, now that we're working and we're always busy and never have time to spend time together mostly, I kind of go back and it was kind of sweet. We were all together, you know.
Yes.
We were cooking every day. We were practicing. So it was kind of nice to have that time for us.
You say that stating that running a business together is a world beyond just sharing household tasks like most couples do. So how do you manage to stay on track with your business relationship and with your romantic relationship?
Well, being fully honest is we have had our moments, you know. You have to really check yourself because it's really easy to go off track.
Yes.
When things don't go well, we, instead of sometimes talking and say, hey, we need to do this, we get at each other's. That is a reality. But then we all like, okay, let's bring it down, because even then the business suffers. Even when we are not seeing eye to eye, the business suffers. So I think for us, it's been I think as time gone by, we're better at, you know, sometimes conversations have to be left alone until we're both in the right mindset to come back and say, okay, let's revisit this. What are we going to do? So it's been I think we thought about it romantically, like, oh, how sweet, we're gonna have a business together. This is gonna be so artistic. And then you're here and you're like, well, there's a lot more to it, you know? But I think as time has gone by, we've gotten through those bumps and understands each other's roles and have respect for what we need and want to better.
Treating each other with respect is the key to any marriage, but I think the the need for respecting each other goes up several notches when you're also have a business that you're depending on to support you.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Yes, we do. And we have, but it is,
It is. Yeah.
It
We're
is-
lucky because we have different skill sets,
Yes.
but that also means we have different priorities.
Yes.
So there's a good and the bad to those
Yes.
things. Yeah.
I'm not really good with anything that it is technical in the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to cook what I want to cook. I see this as this is my time to say, I want to put this on the menu. And he's more in the financial side. He's like, well, you need to think of, so we go back and forth on that. But at the end, I think he's right.
Well, no, I mean, it really does have to be a balance, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the restaurant is for her creative outlet. I mean, that's a big
Yes.
part of it. And so, but you have to balance those things, and that's what's important.
You have to balance creativity with reality. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that must be painful at times.
Yes, I think I've seen that sometimes business chef driven, run by chefs, they tend to struggle more because we don't think of
Yes.
of those things that he does.
Yes.
So I'm lucky that he's there to put me in check and say, hey, you need to do your costings. This is too expensive. You really need to think of the menu. And even though I try to buy good product, I also have price. I like to buy the best product that I can
Yeah,
find.
Of course.
Yes, she does.
Of course. So work and home are commingled. How do you manage time with your family?
That is a hard one because sometimes I'm working here and he's still working, but at home.
Mm-hmm.
The days that we're not open at the restaurant, I try to squeeze in a meal, cook for everybody, have dinner together. We used to travel, but now we have to separate it because somebody has to stay and look over the business. So it's been hard, but we're really trying to squeeze enough time as much as we can. Even sometimes, let's put an example. Yesterday, I had to work, I had to do certain things, and they wanted to go and do something fun. And they asked me, hey, would you like to go? And that one time I said, no, I still have to think of the menu. I want to do this. I needed other things to do. But when I can, I try to join them. And, and he's understandable. He knows that there's a lot going on. But we still have a little one, a 17-year-old.
It's like everyone has to be flexible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're lucky. Our children are so flexible.
Yeah, that part, with the kids, I think we've been able to coordinate that. The one thing we maybe didn't realize is that we wouldn't really be able to travel together much. So we do those kind of things more separate. But
yeah, it was recently I had a wine dinner event with wine pairings from our sommelier. She invited me, and it was at the reading room here in San Diego. We both wanted to go, but we couldn't. So he took my shift. He stayed at the restaurant and worked my shift, and I went to the dinner menu, the wine dinner, and I went by myself. So it's sometimes hard because I wish he was there with me, but sometimes it's impossible. But I think we're good at it, of understanding and not making it personal in the relationship.
So that's the price you pay as a couple for fulfilling your dream with the restaurant.
Yeah.
That must be hard at times.
Yeah.
It is. But we enjoy a lot what we do. So there's always a good and bad.
I can only imagine how much work it is to keep a great restaurant in peak performance. What keeps you motivated?
Well, for me, as producing the food, I always, since I was young, I wanted to do this. Then I went into the business, but when I was going to have my first child, I walked away from the industry. understanding that this is very demanding, and I wanted to see who's going to raise my children.
Yes.
Through that time when they were growing up, I took classes, I traveled, I practiced. I think one of my teachers, without knowing, was Mr. Keller from the French Laundry. In fact, when I went and had dinner there, we talked and I told them all the things and how I did it. He was fascinated by, they said, your reach is beyond the people who work for you. I've never worked for you, but I learned through your seminars, books, and everything. So I always knew I wanted to come back to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So that hunger that I waited so long is what keeps me going and to fulfill what my vision of food, which is for every chef is different.
Well,
I think we really do love the industry. We love food. I mean, that's what we do when we travel. It's about food. And so we're very passionate about that. And so I think that we're constantly interested in it. And she changes the menu here quarterly. So every 3 months or we're going through a change, which keeps it very interesting. I think if we were just doing the same menu, we wouldn't be as fascinated, but it's fun because you have new things to try, new things to see if the guests are going to like it, and new things to see how successful it will be. So I think that part of it,
it's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah,
too.
we continue to have a passion for that.
And I never ever bring a recipe back. And it is customer has, please bring the soup back, please bring this back. And I'm like, that's fun because that keeps me always thinking, what else am I gonna do?
So your rotation of food also keeps your regular guests guessing and entertained by the changes in the menu.
Yeah, I have regulars who come here often, and at one point they was like, so when is the menu changing again? They're kind of like, they want to see what's new, which is nice.
Well, tell me a little bit about your dream to empower women in this industry.
Well, this is for me very important. When I was working, we owned a restaurant in Mexico, and I started working there in my 20s. And even though I was part owner, when I started in the kitchen, there was all guys. Yes. And they asked me to do the most tedious task. I would have to peel buckets of shrimp, clean, like all the things they didn't want to do. They really didn't want me in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I could have said, you know what, guys, I'm part owner. You guys do that. But I found it important for me to prove to them that I was more than capable of doing those things. Before we know it, I earned my place. I could have just jumped in, but I decided not to. I earned my place as head chef of that restaurant. So I've seen in the industry that we women, even though we're very talented, you talk to any chef and it always goes back to grandma, mom, who taught them how to cook and their memories. But nevertheless, when it comes to this, we're kind of pushed aside. That is my view. I don't want to sound too feminist. Mm-hmm. So I want to empower women to say, look, we're as good. I don't want to say even if maybe better, but let's level the playing field and say we are as good. We are talented. We have to empower each other. Right now, I have a full women kitchen, including the dishwasher as a woman.
Oh gosh.
So I'm very hopeful that we all can take charge, we all can collaborate and work as a beautiful team. And people who work here, nobody works for you forever. They come and go, but they take something from here and from me.
So they're treated with respect and they're given equal pay for what men would be paid doing that job.
Yeah, and I always ask, because I think as a chef, you have to push yourself, because something very valuable is, I think, creativity.
Yes.
I always kind of push them, hey, why don't we think of food? Let's collaborate on a recipe, because I want them to develop that.
Yes. So you're mentoring as well as chefing.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And I had my first response because this customer this Saturday came to the window and she saw all the girls and she's like, you have an all-women kitchen? I was like, yeah. It was like, oh my God, that's amazing. because
Mhm.
it's rare to see.
Yes, it is rare.
I think Dominic Cran from San Francisco, she's the first one who made an all women kitchen.
Mhm.
But this is years ago. So maybe
Mhm.
I'm the second one. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Well, you're making your mark both as a chef and as an employer.
Yeah. And I
So,
have two girls, so it is important for me for them to see that example as they go
yeah.
out and experience life.
You know, it's such a pleasure to meet you and see you face to face, so to speak. And I enjoyed your article very much. If people want to find you and your restaurant, you can go online to blackradish.com, and it's got a very unique spelling. So listen to the spelling: BLCKRDSH. So kind of an abbreviation of blackradish.com. Thank you so much for the time you gave me this morning. I wish you the best of success, not only with your restaurant, but also with your relationship and your family.
Yes. We gotta need it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
opportunity. We appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.